Hey, I'm Harry Mays, and since our last episode, the term embedded reporter has taken on a new definition thanks to Diana Russini of The Athletic.
I'm Louie DiBiase. Howie Roseman can now no longer afford to lose the leverage war against the New England Patriots.
It's going to be tough to top it. I'm Marc Farzetta. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show, and today I'm going to get into how Jason Kelce is the latest Philadelphia Eagle, or at least former Eagle, to speak up on Jalen Hurts' behalf. All that and more in this edition of Locked On Eagles Squad Show.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagles Squad. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagles Squad Show starting now.
And welcome into Locked On Eagles Squad Show here on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you guys liking and subscribing. The man right there, Louie DiBiase, has it covered every day for your fine Eagles content. Harry Mays and I got you covered when it comes to the Eagles Squad shows. Jason Martinez needs the day off today. He's got the day off today. We're going to get into some draft action. We're going to get into how Maxx Crosby is getting his name tied into the Philadelphia Eagles again. And we're also getting into Jason Kelce speaking up for Jalen Hurts. And it's not just that. I don't want to get just your takes on that, guys. I specifically want to get Harry's take on Jason Kelce being at the Masters, making it official. Jason Kelce is everywhere. And then, hey, I don't know if you guys have heard, Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini might be going on the owners' meetings. Now, I didn't know about this. I didn't see this. Harry was kind enough to shoot a text out. Harry, you're how I found out. From now on, whenever I think about Diana Russini and Mike Vrabel, I will think of you, Harry Mays. I will think of you because you're the one that told me. I'll remember where I was at that point in history when that happened. Look, there's a lot of ways to take this. I'm going to just throw it out in the open. Harry, since you were the reporter on the reporter.
Yeah.
He was the personal investigator. He's the one that took the pick.
Right.
Big Dom paid Harry to go into Arizona and take that picture.
Thank God for TMZ.
That's my favorite meme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Page 6, TMZ, everybody else picks it up. There's conflicting reports. There's holes in the alibis for both, unfortunately, especially when it comes to reporting in the story. But let's just live in the world for a second where there is something scandalous going on here, and the concern that would stem from that, Harry. First, I'll ask you that. I don't even want to put words in your mouth. I don't want to frame it in a way that you don't mean. Just generally speaking, what's your take on the photos and the stories that have come out?
Well, my take on the photos and the stories is there's something going on. I mean, I know both sides are denying. I don't know how you deny what you see in those pictures. I mean, they're at some couples resort in Arizona on a roof deck or something, arm in arm. And I mean, I wished I had women that looked at me the way Diana Russini's looking at Mike Vrabel. Are you serious? What are you talking about? They're both married.
Let me just stop you right there.
Total scandal. Yeah.
Let me stop you right there. First off, it's a curse. It's just a curse. You want nothing to do with it, my friend. No, it's just a curse.
Oh, you speak from experience. I
totally. But
you know, it's like if I was a female reporter working in a man's sport, I would be livid by this. This is absolutely horrifying for any woman journalist that covers men's sports. This is exactly what you're trying to avoid. And I mean, this goes back. She's got history with this stuff. You go back to 2015 when she was covering the Commanders in depth, and she got some scoops back then from the general manager so deep that the wife of the Commanders GM, noticed and called them out on it. I mean,
on Twitter,
she's got history. This chick's a trollop. I mean, all that said, it's still, I don't know what this does to any Eagles trade or a trade that may or may not. I'm sure Louie's got some opinions on that. But, I mean, the interest is there. It's not like she's making it up. She was getting it on Pillow Talk.
That's what's being alleged. Absolutely.
How did you call it? Embedded
reporter. Yeah, that's typically when you're covering over in Iran, the war. They call them embedded reporters. But now we have one in the NFL.
Yeah, now we have a different saying for the term. I think a lot of Eagles fans are taking this as a victory lap, right? The fans that don't want A.J. Brown to get traded, the fans that have kind of almost been delusional and in denial that any sort of trade talks have happened, they're all pointing to this and saying, see, like she was making this up all along for the Patriots to try to create a story, to try to create a trade and force him to New England. I don't think that is true.
No.
Like, obviously, I mean, the Patriots GM has said they've talked with the Eagles about A.J. Brown. The Rams GM has said they've talked to the Eagles about A.J. Brown. A.J. clearly likes the Patriots. He clearly was not happy last year. If you think this means there is no sort of trade that could happen, again, I think you're just trying to talk yourself into that reality. Where I get frustrated is that it feels like Vrabel was using Russini as a way to create leverage in trade negotiations by constantly adding fuel to the fire. Like, she would not let up. I would understand if the new reports had different information in it, but it felt like at times she would just keep reposting the same thing over and over again. And now it feels like it was almost to create leverage that the Eagles like have to make this move and always tie it back to the Patriots. So this feels like just a huge journalistic like conflict of interest where she's almost for information in exchange for information, helping out another team get this guy that Vrabel never wanted to lose to begin with. So that's what ticks me off. Howie Roseman's not going to let that affect his trade negotiations, but the fact that they were trying through the media, that's where I get pissed off.
Mm-hmm. Diana Russini, you think you're going to make me lose a trade? I'll show you, Howie Roseman, Mike Vrabel, couples retreat. All right, now.
That's why I think Howie put Big Dom on this. Go get me some information.
Right.
The pictures of Big Dom holding the camera, it's like
it's
some of my favorite things. Some of the greatest work.
Is that a real picture?
I think that's him at the Senior Bowl or something
Incredible.
like that.
Okay.
It's probably just Photoshop. I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore. But okay, so two things. One, the general take on what's going on. I'll tell you, something's going on. Now, the only thing that those two have to defend themselves, that it's really nothing, is that if a Page 6 TMZ type reporter or somebody was looking for incriminating evidence, you mean to tell me more incriminating evidence wasn't available? A lip lock, something of that out in the open. If they're being that free with it, don't you think they'd go a little bit more free and more open with it? So the fact that we haven't seen that picture yet, that's still the undeniable smoking gun in all of it, okay? I still believe something's going on because you don't, as you pointed out, Harry, look into somebody's eyes like that, lock hands like that.
Yeah.
Beautiful like background that, too. The scenery is unbelievable.
Oh, it's awesome.
I mean, that's
like
so
the Sedona Desert or Sonora
Sedona's
Desert,
beautiful.
whatever. Yeah, Sedona.
My brother got engaged out there. That's like the exact scene that he proposed to my sister-in-law. I mean, it's the same spot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The only thing better is if it was like a swingers resort. That would, because then you could be like.
I think he had pineapples on his Hawaiian shirt.
They're upside down pineapples too. It's got to be upside down. Yeah.
That's the flare. That's how you shoot the flare up. Anybody?
Exactly.
Anybody around? No. Okay. The second part is how it relates to the Eagles, and I have the same concern, Louie, that you have. It's like, hold on a second here. If there's some kind of, even if it's not an intimate relationship, but it's a relationship that's even closer and more personal, I'll say that, than the typical subject reporter relationship, then there could be things going on here with Mike Vrabel. And this is where you go to the nth degree if you're rooting for the Eagles to say, this is the Patriots doing wrong. Vrabel has already admitted to texting openly with A.J. Brown. Diana Russini has come out with reports about Jalen Hurts more or less being the problem in Philadelphia. How do we know that A.J. Brown isn't tweeting or texting Mike Vrabel? How do we know Mike Vrabel isn't showing those texts or talking about those texts with Diana Russini? How do we know that Mike Vrabel's like, hey, I really want to get A.J. here, but Howie's out of his mind. Can you put this story out?
What if he's lying to her? What if he's saying he's heard that AJ hates Jalen? Like, I mean, to get him to New England, like it could all be
tentacles here.
That's well. First off, I love the idea of Mike Vrabel seducing Diana Russini just as a thought. Just be like, hey, baby, just to put this.
Just to get AJ back.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All this for his true love, AJ Brown, who his wife is really pissed at. No, this to me, to your point, Harry, it does have so many different tentacles to it. There's a lot of reach to it because ultimately speaking, the bottom line of this is, could this really unprofessional relationship, and whatever moral code you live by, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but professionally speaking, you could be using a personal relationship, an affair, if you will, to the gain in the trade market. That is not an outlandish thought.
No.
to say that you could, what do you call it? Water down the market or change the overall public opinion of one trade partner, it could be impacted by this personal relationship. And that's where I think a lot of people's red flags go up and say, wait a minute here. If you could impact the trade market or badmouth the player by putting out reports, whether they're false or exaggerated or whatever you want to call it, you could impact the trade value of that player that the Eagles are coveting right now.
Yeah.
So that to me is overall the biggest concern out of all of this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's the thing is it's not about if a trade could happen or not. It's about how it impacts trade negotiations. And it makes you wonder, like, how many of these quote unquote reports from insiders have this kind of motivation? Like, it feels like a lot. And so many insiders just didn't say anything about this story because I feel like a lot of them, not saying it's romantic.
They're
I don't know
doing
the
other
extent
ones.
of the
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
But how many of, like, Adam Schefter, he's got relationships with agents and he's kind of a mouthpiece for a lot of these people and for teams. And it just feels like it's going to be really hard to trust now moving forward. Like, the non-biased reports. I don't know. Like, this confirms a lot of like fan paranoia about this kind of stuff that I normally, as a journalism major, roll my eyes at. But now it's like, how often does this happen?
You're referring to like it's kind of pulled back the curtain, if you will, and like, wow.
And it was a quiet day yesterday. A lot of these people nationally did not comment on this at all.
Right. Yeah.
Throwing stones at a glass house.
Skeletons in their own closet. Yeah. But now, what really is at play here is, does Diana Russini have to give back her Insider of the Year award from WIP? I mean, that's what people really want to know.
They doubled down.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was one of my first thoughts. I was like, didn't she just get an honor of some sort? And I was like, oh, yeah, from WIP. Right. That's great.
Yep.
Look, who is Elliott Shore Park sleeping with now? I mean, this is what we need to know.
You know what? I don't want to know. I'm out.
Good. Yeah, I'm good.
I'll check out of that one.
Yeah, I'm good too. I was just kidding.
I know. But Harry, to one of the first points you made, and I know I'm not alone in this, but having friends that are in the business and having female friends that have worked their asses off and done exactly what they should do as professionals. And like, it does give everyone a bad name, because I even listen to, like, there's, female comedians out there that I like listening to that I've listened to them do interviews about how just the minute they have the smallest ounce of success, it's like, oh, well, they went out with the club owner that night, that kind of thing. And it's an unfortunate thing that women are up against in this world, constantly up against in this world. And whenever a little nugget gets dropped like this, or in this case, a big nugget, people jump right to, I know how she got the gig. I know how she got her sources. And that's just something that as men, we're not up against. If people are jumping to that conclusion, they're high-fiving over it, which is not the right thing to do at all. But when it happens with women, it's a totally other end of the spectrum.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And I'm kind of curious, from afar, as what the fallout's going to be, both personally on both sides. Like, what next is?
I mean, The Athletic defended her. They both came out with a public comment. I can't imagine they'll say much more. I think I'm more curious about the fallout with the Eagles, because now that this is out there, now that A.J. Brown has just been playing footsie with the Patriots all offseason, winking on Julian Edelman's show, talking about how much a huge fan he was back in the day. Like, Howie Roseman cannot afford. I don't want to trade him to New England at all now, because I'm just petty like that. But if they send him to New England after June 1st, you have to make sure you get at least a first and second. Like, you got to get that Jalen Waddle kind of value, or else you could lose the fan base here. Like, people are not going to accept him going to New England for like DJ Moore value, a second and a third round pick. He cannot lose this leverage battle if he trades him there at all. I don't even want to send him there after all of this. But I mean, this is like, I don't know if this surpasses the TO level of drama, but what a crazy new wrinkle to which was already one of the most complicated trade stories that I've ever covered.
Yeah, it's a new one. My first thought was, well, this is new.
I've never seen
Donovan.
it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
This isn't Donovan and TO on the sidelines in Pittsburgh. This this is a whole new ball of wax.
How long do you think it took Bob Kraft to call Vrabel and say, listen, cuss, I got a massage parlor you can go to for this kind of stuff. You don't need to be cavorting with
Kraft
reporters.
Supports all this behavior.
Yes.
He's like, get me AJ.
I got an account. You can just go in there and put her on my account.
There's just so many layers to this to peel back. But there's one unfortunate thing here that I think is just going to be a coincidence. AJ's trade value, do you guys agree? Because I certainly think this is the case. AJ's trade value drops after June 1st.
It does.
Because the Eagles, right? The Eagles are not incurring any of the extra dead cap that they would be incurring if they were to trade him before June 1st. So I just don't like the idea of this story with Vrabel and Russini getting even more legs after June 1st. Be like, oh, that story never came out. They would have gotten 2 firsts for him or whatever. Well, no, the trade value is going down anyway.
I think the trade value would go down simply because the Eagles probably draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds and sort of, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Like if it happens after June 1st, it sort of has to be done before June 1st with kind of like, this is what we're giving you. And we're going to do the deal on June 2nd or whatever the case may be. Or you're exactly right, Mark. They won't get what they want, which would be a first and a second.
So do you trade him before, and are you willing to eat, would you rather eat the $40 million in dead cap in order to get better draft compensation? Because you're right. If the Eagles, I saw not a report today, but ESPN draft analyst said they've heard Jordan Tyson could fall down the board, right? A consensus, I think, top 3 receiver in this class. And they have pointed to the Eagles as somebody that might be interested if he falls into that 17 to 23 range that could trade up. If they do that, they lose a lot of leverage. I mean, hopefully then some other receiver needy teams that didn't get one in the draft could be interested, and maybe it adds more teams to the bidding war. But I mean, that's the problem is after this story, you'd think that they have a ton of leverage now, but the draft is going to change that. And I just do not think fans will accept anything less than, again, that 1st and 3rd, I think is a cutoff. The Waddle deal, you got to get at least that. And like Mark said, after June 1st, is that going to be still the value? And if they draft a receiver in the first round, they have to trade AJ. You can't go into next year. He's not going to want to be here for that. So it's a tough spot to be in.
Just personally, I don't want the Eagles to trade up for a wide receiver. Just sit there and take the best wide receiver, offensive lineman, or edge rusher, or whatever that falls to you at that spot.
Yeah, it depends on who we're talking about. If it's Jordan Tyson, I would move up. I don't want to move up 10 spots for one of these guys, but if you're telling me they traded up 4 to 6 spots for Omar Cooper or Tyson, I'd be in on that, but I get that point for sure.
Yeah, and again, just to highlight, the reason the trade value would drop anyway on June 1st is because the Eagles aren't taking as much dead cap. They're not incurring as much of a cap hit if AJ's trade before. So if you're essentially having to do less, why am I going to give you more? So that's the catch-22 of the AJ Brown situation as far as that trade and June 1st designation go. I still do not believe that there's going to be some handshake agreement in place before the draft saying, all right, we're going to do this deal. This is the deal, but after the draft, we can't change it.
They could change their mind anyway. Look at Baltimore.
Yeah,
certainly. They absolutely could, but why would any other team so wait a minute, hold on. This guy has to go down to a discounted rate, but I already agreed.
Nobody's doing that.
I don't think anybody's doing that. I know that story's out there, but I just don't. Yeah. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. As far as the actual draft does go and how it impacts A.J. Brown, no question. I mean, you draft a wide receiver, then the trade value also goes down in that regard. And I think it'll have nothing to do at that point with any story that's come out in the offseason regarding a reporter and a head coach of a football team that could be receiving A.J. Brown in that deal. The other part of it here is I still want to be clear on this as well. I don't want A.J. anywhere but Philadelphia. I would love for the Eagles to run this offense back and be the main difference, have the main difference be Sean Mannion. That's, to me, what I think would make this team the best possible team going forward. Still give him the talent that he had a year ago that can still perform at a high level. You're still going to have the question marks on the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. But if the new scheme is the savior, then I think you're still going to have a very successful football team. I still feel very confident about the defense and Vic Fangio running the ship. I still look at this team like they have a lot of talent on the defensive side of things. It, to me, comes down to better organization on the offensive side of things and getting continuously the best out of Jalen Hurts, of course, as the season starts up. So for me, draft-wise, it's all about getting who's going to take over for Lane Johnson, maybe getting that edge rusher. Draft-wise, for me, I don't focus on quarterback. I don't focus on really anything other than maybe edge, maybe obviously offensive line, and then maybe the Eagles are looking to plug up that next safety next to Drew Makuba in this draft as well. I think those are the main things they're looking at before they're looking at a wide receiver at this point in the draft. So when it comes to A.J. Brown, I still think the Eagles are banking on him coming back. Do you think that this story has moved the needle either way on the odds of A.J. coming back or not? Either one of you?
I would say no.
I don't think it changes.
Yeah, I think what'll change it is what you're describing. Like, if you want what Mark wants here, you should not be rooting for the Eagles to draft a receiver in the first round, because that will tell you he is getting dealt. Like that it's over at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas if they draft one in the second or third round, or maybe not at all, like Mark said, maybe they go, let's say they go tackle, edge, safety, tight end. That could mean that A.J. Brown, like, are they really going to go into the season with Hollywood Brown as wide receiver too? I can't see that.
Can't
so
do that.
Right.
I don't think this story really impacts much. But I think the draft is going to. Like, day one is really going to tell you all you need to know.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that one. When we come back, last Tuesday, we talked about Nick Foles being a former Eagles player to stick up for Jalen Hurts in light of the recent reports. Now, two-part question I'm going to ask of Harry when we come back. Jason Kelce now sticking up for his former quarterback, and Jason Kelce doing it from... Play the music.
Augusta.
A tradition unlike any other.
I wasn't watching.
The Masters.
Yeah.
No one likes us. No one likes us.
Yeah.
I'm trying to putt. Thank you. Anyway, when we come back, we'll break that down and more on this edition of Locked On Eagles Squad Show. And right now, it's time to tell you about FanDuel. Oh, boy. FanDuel. Have yourself a good time with FanDuel. NBA playoffs just around the corner, and every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series either way. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You could bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action. And when it comes to player stats, player trends, when it comes to matchups, all in one place, FanDuel is the place to be. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, when you're looking at role players, when you're looking at key moments in the game, and it makes the entire playoff experience that much more engaging from start to finish. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to get started, where new customers can get up to $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app. FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. And how about the Everydayer Club? Make sure you guys sign up to be a member of the Everydayer Club for Locked On Eagles. That's lockedoneagles.supercast.com. You get ad-free episodes of Locked On Eagles, Locked On Eagles squad shows, as a matter of fact, as well. And you also get to take part in the Discord server as well with Locked On Eagles and Locked On Everydayer Club.
Hey, Farzi, before we move on to the Kelce thing, there's a comment in the chat here I think is interesting.
Okay.
I think AJ loses respect for Mike Vrabel after this, and now he won't go, says Afredo31. Now, this makes me think, like, what does this get Vrabel more locker room cred to say, hey, man, how about that side piece coach guy? You know, she's kind of hot, you know, or whatever. You know, or do players lose respect for the coach? Because I think it's kind of the opposite.
Well, wait. I'm sorry. I've had trouble following the bouncing ball. You think they lose respect for the coach, or they gain respect?
No, I think he gets a little bit of side
I think it shows the
cred.
length of what he's willing to do to get A.J. Brown to that roster. They're seeing that their coach is willing to do whatever it takes to get a star player on this football team.
Put his marriage at risk. I mean,
If it's
seriously.
romantic.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, if I'm AJ, I'm like, man, coach really loves me. Damn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I can see it as that. I can see it as that.
Right.
However, the way I can see it how you see it, but the way that I see it, and this is a great question. I didn't see it. Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you, Harry. Put yourself in the shoes of a player for a second, and like the way I look at it as, there's been a lot of, if I'm AJ, for instance, and I let's just say I have a relationship with Vrabel, right? We're friends, we text, we're buds, but for all I know, that's a two-way conversation. That's not a three-way conversation where it's going like I'm telling my friend this in confidence, and now it looks like he's just running to a reporter with it. That's how I would.
So you think it's kind of a violation of?
It could be. It could be. I mean, hey, look, for all I know, AJ could be like, hey, make sure you tell Diana, by the way, when you see her this weekend, that I really hate Jalen. Hugs and kisses, whatever. Like tell me, like that could be part of it. I don't know. But I'm just saying the way I see it is I don't know if AJ is telling or has told Mike Vrabel anything in confidence, man to man, one-on-one. And then all of a sudden, by the way, Diana, I was just texting with AJ. He's pissed, man. He doesn't like anything going on. Then it might be seen as a violation of trust from a player to a either coach or potential coach in this situation. That's the first thing that jumps out to me.
Well, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I want Roger Goodell to seize Mike Vrabel's phone to look at these text messages to see if it was indeed tampering.
Well, that's the thing. If A.J. Brown during the season is complaining about the Eagles to the New England Patriots head coach, that's crazy. Get that guy out of here at that point.
Right.
But you're right, Mark. Like, I thought about that too. If AJ was telling all this in confidence to Vrabel, but then Russini's stories caused this circus in Philly that clearly he was not enjoying dealing with last year, that could maybe, I don't know. I mean, he's close with Vrabel, but maybe that impacts things. I don't know if anything from the story does enough to where AJ says, I'm not going to New England, or the Eagles say I'm not trading for him. But yeah, I mean, that's a part of it for sure.
Well, and if you're Jalen, don't think Jalen's not thinking this. Like, hey, how did all this get out? Now I see. Maybe
now Jalen's
my
got
wide
hit
receiver has been freaking talking about me.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, wow.
I guess that part we'll probably never know, but
another tentacle.
Another tentacle.
They're just sprouting out,
man. This makes, again, the TO drama. Even like Alshon, remember when everybody thought he was talking to Josina Anderson about Carson back? Like, this just, I think, tops any sort of anonymous
I forgot about
sourcing.
that one.
Yeah, Alshon.
The Josina Anderson.
I called him Alshonimus on the show for 2 years.
Alshon. That's great. That's perfect. Man, I will say this. I really look forward to actual football games being played.
Oh no, I love this. You kidding me?
Oh, this is the brilliance.
I love the offseason.
This is terrific.
I can't credit the NFL for a Russini Vrabel story like that, But damn, I say it all the time, guys. You're guaranteed as a fan base 17 things that actually matter, which are games, and somehow there are 365 days a year where the NFL is the top story. Yeah. Somehow. It's an amazing machine is what it is.
It is.
And then guess what? This is only the beginning of the tentacles.
Right.
There'll be plenty of more after this. Yeah. All right. Jason Kelce. Let's get to this. And Harry, I know you're the golfer. I'm just a hack that enjoys drinking and cigars. When it comes to Louie, I don't even know. Do you like
I like golf, but I'm more towards why I like it is because of what you're talking about here. Yeah.
I'm a vibes guy on the course. I'm there for the good times. Okay. Jason Kelce, you look at him and you don't go, oh, Masters.
Yeah.
He's not, you know him and you don't go, Masters.
Yeah.
Of course, he's been doing a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to the Olympics, when it comes to everything he does on ESPN. He's the guy that is not afraid to do anything. He wants to go out and he wants to have fun, and they're having fun with him, and more power to them. But the Masters, Harry, your thoughts, Jason Kelce being at Augusta?
Well, I said last week on my golf podcast when I got word that this was going to happen, that if you give ESPN enough time, they will ruin everything. Okay. And it's happening. I mean, they're basically turned the par 3 contest yesterday into their own version of the WM Phoenix Open. It's like they're trying to sell the golf bros, like to enjoy this sort of staid event, with class and dignity and fun and everything, but they want to make it something else. They've always got to incorporate other personalities that don't involve sports because they want everybody under the tent, and they think that that's what does it, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't need Jason Kelce anymore in my life. I said this years ago. I was actually maybe the first one to say that I'm Kelce'd out. It was shortly after, maybe 6 months after the parade, really, I was done with him. And then brother, too. I'm just done. I'm done.
Yeah, I have Kelce fatigue as well.
Yeah,
not gonna
you
lie.
have Kelce fatigue?
He's kind of like the football version of Charles Barkley, where he's just everywhere, like anything that involves not just football, but now other sports. Like, he's their guy. And I get it. Like, Kelce is very good at this kind of stuff. But I think it also stems from like every year wondering if he was going to retire, and then he comes back. And obviously we loved having him for as long as possible, but then it was the documentary, and then it was all the Kelce, the Taylor Swift stuff. There's just been so much of the Kelce brothers. And I like the Traders on NBC, and their mom is on the show now too. I'm like, I can't escape this family. It's just, so now I'm trying to watch golf, and I got them there too.
Well, I like the fact that you said "Not Gonna Lie," and that's the name of Mrs. Kelce's podcast. Not Donna, but Kylie.
Yeah, they all got a podcast. It's like
they all got all these podcasts out there. Come on now, these kids. Anyway, yeah, it's a funny thing. I've heard it so many times from so many different people that they're Kelce'd out, and I in no way, shape, or form mean to paint a picture. So I want to be clear here. I'm not friends with the Kelces. Okay, I have, as most of us, covered Jason his entire career. I will say, I remember when I first met Jason Kelce, we were recording promos, and he walked in looking like a berserker Viking, whatever. Literally his words, not mine. He was going for the berserker look, long hair, bushy beard, the whole thing. And I just remember he walked in with Evan Mathis to record these promos, and it was, all right, Evan, how are you gonna do this? Good cop, bad cop? Is that the way we play this? And I could just tell the guy had like a fun aura around him, like he was there for a good time and all that. And I was like, all you literally have to do is just say the radio station's call letters and your name, and you're good. That's all I need. And he's just like, nope. And they went on. Evan Mathis and him like did a comedic, like almost like they worked on it for like 5 days, like a comedic script of promos and stuff. And it was funny. They crushed it. And I just remember thinking at that time, before he'd ever even played a snap, I just remember thinking, if this guy's at all talented, I know he's like a 6th-round pick, he's going to crush it in Philly. And then he just went on his run. And of course, I was there in the locker room a lot, getting to know him better, and I got to know the family a little bit and all that. And I look at it as a great story that, the 6th-round pick has grabbed the world by storm. His brother has become arguably the best tight end ever. Then he starts dating and now engaged to the biggest star in the world right now. Like, it's a wild thing. And I understand fatigue when it comes to the amount of times these guys are named. I still look at it in the light of that day I met him doing promos. I'm like, I still have that feeling of good for him. Good for him.
Maybe it's also because I live with a Swiftie. I don't know. I just hear about it all the time. It's
so
always
do I,
around. So.
But mine's 6 years old.
Right. Well, I'm not begrudging him getting all this attention and taking checks from everybody. I just don't want to see it. So I didn't watch it yesterday. It's the first time I haven't watched the par 3 tournament since I was there in 1994. So I just didn't watch it.
Yeah, I look at it as one of your favorite. I don't know. At the wedding, at the funeral, whatever. There's always that one relative back in the day that had the earpiece in, listening to the game, and they get away with it because that's Uncle whoever.
Right.
To me, like that's where the Kelces have kind of entered as far as the public domain goes for me. Like everybody's favorite uncle coming over and getting away with it. So, to your point, though, Harry, it's the Masters. I know this is sacred for the hardcore golf people. Jason being there for me, I was like, this might test it because I love tradition in sports.
Maybe that's why, because it's the Masters. If it was another major, maybe if it was like the Open or the U.S. Open, the PGA, it'd be different. But maybe it's because of the Masters.
Yeah,
right. Or it's not the Waste Management anymore. What is it, Harry?
Yeah, it's the Waste Management. WN Phoenix Open.
Right.
Yeah. He belongs out there in the grandstand with a bunch of yahoos chugging beer. I got no problem with that. That's
but not at Augusta.
That's his element.
Not in
Stay away from Magnolia Lane.
Stay away from the Mecca. This is the Holy Land, and he does not go there.
Exactly.
There's like 7 things you can't say at the Masters. Like you can't say the back 9.
Right.
You can't say the golf course. Yeah.
Right.
What is the back 9?
It's the second 9.
The second 9.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not in the back of the it's like it moves. There's a reason for it. You can't say crowd or fans. You got to say patrons. That's a big one because a broadcaster actually got taken off the coverage. Jack Whitaker, because he called the crowd an angry mob. He referred to the patrons as an angry mob, and they took him off the broadcast. They told CBS, you won't get the coverage next year if Whitaker's there.
I'm getting kind of a culty vibe with all this.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
yeah. It is.
Zero argument. Yeah. So then you put Jason Kelce there.
Yeah, right.
Throw it up a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly. Just can't, Jason, listen. Your whole empire will come tumbling down.
Right.
If you dare call these people
We need you to
fans.
put something super relatable on the menu. He's like, all right, dinosaur nuggets. I'm like, all right.
I'm in. I'm in. Little barbecue
Yeah.
sauce.
I
Let's
can rock
party.
with that. I
Yeah.
can rock with that.
Kevin Hart was there too. I've had enough of him too. Okay, I've got Kevin.
Similar
Hart
tier of
He's a funny guy.
personality,
But
yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
A lot of Philly
I think-
ties with all these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I think I've gotten the joke. I think we've
Mhm.
all gotten the joke with Kevin Hart.
Right.
We got
Now,
the bit,
I think-
yeah.
Yeah, we got the bit.
Right.
We see Kevin Hart. We're like, okay, a lot of
Yeah.
energy.
And if anybody
Okay.
saw the picture that was out there of Kelce, Pat McAfee, who I'm nearing this point with him too, and Bert Kreischer, the comedian, all in caddy bibs jumping into one of the ponds, it was fake. Okay, so don't react negatively about it. It's an AI image. Kreischer wasn't anywhere near there, nor should he be. And I don't think I don't know if McAfee was there, but that's a fake picture.
Okay.
People were
All
going
right.
crazy.
McAfee, I think, was back in studio because Kelce was on
Okay.
site and McAfee was, I think, in studio in Bristol.
In
I could be wrong on
Indianapolis.
that.
He
or
does
maybe
his show from Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Scusi, that's right.
Yeah.
So now the reason I bring any of this up is because we talked about Nick Foles last week, or on Tuesday rather, about saying, hey, he's sticking up for Jalen Hurts about how it can be difficult to not have the same coordinator. He can't build on the previous year. That's a huge thing. Terminology changes. It's difficult for a quarterback, especially when you feel like you know more than the coordinator. Well, you're coming in now and you're going to have, a 32, 33-year-old coordinator who's also never called plays, but at least played the position at the NFL level and played at a very good level when he was back in college at Oregon State and Sean Mannion, for whatever you want to put into it with that. But Jason Kelce was the latest to get asked about the reports on Jalen Hurts. And what Jason Kelce had to say about it was similar to Nick Foles. And the way he couched everything was saying, what quarterback doesn't want to run his own stuff? And he also said that in Philadelphia, when is there not drama? If there's something to cling on to, something to hold on to, if a team if a bad year for a football team is they win double digits and they go to the playoffs, okay, well, where's the criticism? How do we criticize this team? I know, let's air all the dirty laundry about what the quarterback likes to do or what he doesn't like to do. That's more or less the route that Jason Kelce took in this. The one thing I will say that might come off as critical or a criticism towards Jason Kelce in this, Jason Kelce is the elder statesman with Jalen Hurts. Like, Jalen Hurts wasn't coming in to the NovaCare complex at the time and telling Jason Kelce what to do. Jason Kelce was the last center that Jalen Hurts had that was actually calling out protections for him.
Right.
It wasn't the other way around. So the version of Jalen Hurts, and this is coming as a Hurts guy, but being real, the version of Jalen Hurts that Jason Kelce is talking about might not be the same version of Jalen Hurts that Cam Jurgens is getting. Maybe it's not the same version that Kevin Patullo is getting, not the same version that now Sean Mannion's even getting in all of this. So I understand that, no quarterback wants to say, hey, the thing I do really well, let's do less of that. No quarterback is coming out and saying that. So I do think you have to, again, consider the source that's putting this out there, but it's still Jason Kelce coming out in support of Jalen Hurts and saying, Harry, that people just like to latch onto a negative story because those stories have the best and strongest legs.
Yeah, he's right about that. And I love his opinions on football. I want more of that. Like, that's what I want from him. I kind of agree with him on all, but you're absolutely right, too, because this might be a totally different Jalen Hurts than the one that he actually played with. And, that's something I guess we'll soon figure out here in the next couple of months as this offense starts to actually play games in the fall and everything. But you're exactly right. That's a very astute point from you.
One in a row for me.
Louie,
one in a row. Well, that's a I got to say, steal that from my friend Jason Martinez.
I'm going to use that. I like that.
One in a row is a constant one I would hear from Jason in my very early days in the business.
Yeah, but I do think with Jalen and most quarterbacks, Jason Kelce's right, Nick Foles is right. I mean, they threw out an entire playbook for Nick Foles in 2017 and basically brought back Chip Kelly's offense from 2013 when he had 27 touchdowns and 2 picks to get him comfortable and help them win the Super Bowl. Like, I think that is natural, and you want to maximize a player's strengths by molding the scheme around what they do best. And I think that was the right approach with Jalen for the first half of his career. But what we've been saying so much on this show is, okay, but now Jalen's entering and this team is about to enter a new phase. Like, they're about to enter a different chapter of his career and of this era of Eagles football. And so what he was doing best back then, I don't think is going to continue to work because Jalen already last year whether it was because he didn't want to do it or he just couldn't do it as much, or it was the team decision, but he already wasn't running the ball as much. And other teams adjusted to the RPO style of ball you play. The deep ball is kind of, I don't want to say been removed from football, but it's a cover 2 world, and teams are trying to take that part of your game away the most. So now, like, that was okay. That was the right approach back then, but now it's different. Now you need to be more willing to change, and hopefully Hurts is more open-minded with Sean Mannion, because eventually, like, you can't always rely on the physical gifts of when you're 25, because what happens, I keep saying this in the show, and it's still so long down the road, but what happens when you're 33? What happens when you're 35? Like, I would love to see an Eagles quarterback play for 10 to 15 years. And a lot of the reasons at times they can't do that is because the Eagles like mobile quarterbacks, and those guys don't really tend to age well. Jalen could be an outlier in that way, like he's been an outlier in so many different ways, but history tells us that's not true. So if he wants to be the outlier, he's got to be willing to change.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I'll tell you, when you're 34, Louie, I lifted a miter saw a week ago, and my back just started hurting today.
Hey, I'm Jalen's age, and I play touch football on Saturdays, and the next day, it's like I got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird delay sometimes with pain.
Just wait till you guys get to 60.
Snaps.
Yeah, wait till you get to 60.
Yeah.
What is
Maybe
it?
I'll
What's
be
the
more
old,
of a golf guy then.
Yeah.
the old military term, turds roll downhill, not up. That's how that works. Yeah, the complaints don't go up, they go down.
Right.
That's how that's supposed to go. When we come back, I do want to talk about this Maxx Crosby story. This is wild, Harry. I know you saw this earlier in the week. Louie, I know you've talked about this as well. But, oh my goodness, Maxx Crosby and the Eagles tied together again per Bill Barnwell. Talk about that and more when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Back right after this. Oh, boy. Tax time, everybody. Hopefully you got your taxes done. And if you didn't, TurboTax, here to save the day. It is tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they're really going to get your particular situation. Well, this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. Meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. So here's how it looks. Bill Barnwell puts this out here regarding Maxx Crosby. And now this is not a report. I always want to stress that because people love to lie and say, oh, he's reporting that this is all speculation. These are all ideas. He's an idea man putting this out there. And the story comes in this. The speculation with the 23rd overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles trade that pick to the Raiders along with their 2027 third round pick and Nolan Smith for Maxx Crosby. Let's start off with this. I'm going to say, yep, I'm doing that deal.
Yeah.
I'm bringing in Maxx Crosby. I have him on my defense for this upcoming season. I lose a third, I lose Nolan. That means I'm not using that pick to draft a wide receiver. That means also you're going to have A.J. Brown here as well. Yeah, I'm keeping this deal. I'm making this deal. I'm doing the deal Bill Barnwell's throwing against the wall to see if it sticks. It's sticking with me. Harry, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm doing it as well. I mean, I look at it as, you're giving up a third-round pick and a player who now is really expendable because of the player you're bringing in. So I just think, you're basically getting, could you get a player better than Maxx Crosby at 26 right now to come in and help the 2026 Eagles? Yeah, I don't think so. So I'm definitely doing the deal.
So there's no first-round pick involved? It's just a 3 and no.
No, it's
Smith?
the first rounder,
no,
26 or 27,
I missed that
whatever.
part. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm just saying like that.
Yeah.
That the essentially extras, the third rounder and a player that you would have now made
right. So you still have Maxx Crosby, you have a second-round pick, and you still have a third because you do have 2 third-rounders.
Correct.
I'd probably do it. Yeah, I like Nolan Smith, I think, more than most, and having a first and a third go as well for just one player that's also very expensive, it's a lot to give up. But yeah, I agree. Like Maxx Crosby next to Jalen Carter, I mean, and edge rushers age really well for the most part. I know he's coming off a pretty serious injury, but I mean, look at Brandon Graham. There's a lot of guys that play, deep into their 30s. So you could get a whole nother contract out of Maxx Crosby. So yeah, I would do it for sure. And I think Maxx Crosby probably could be had at this kind of price. Like, I think his value has dropped. Like, nobody is going to give them 2 first-round picks again, like Baltimore did. It's just, It's not going to happen. It'll likely still cost you a first-round pick. But the good part about this as well is, like Marc said, maybe you can keep A.J. Brown, but you could recoup those assets by trading A.J. Brown away and getting those picks back. And then it's kind of just like Nolan Smith for Maxx Crosby straight up. So, yeah, I would definitely do it.
Marc doesn't want to hear that.
I know. I would love to keep A.J. Brown in this scenario, but you could get picks back.
Well, so let's you're exactly right. And look, if you're telling me Maxx Crosby is still here, and so is it, or Maxx Crosby comes here, and then you also have A.J. Brown here still, then I'm very happy camper. However, how the hell does this work financially speaking? So you're going to pay Jordan Davis, which is done.
Right.
You're going to still have A.J. Brown, still pay him, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, the entire offensive line.
And Jalen Carter is supposed to reset the market.
But if you get rid of A.J. Brown.
Right. That's there's the rub.
There's the rub. Yeah.
So that's my question. Like, yeah, I would love all these players to be on the Eagles, but there is a cap. It is a real cap. And Howie Roseman could be freaking Merlin with it, but there's a limitation to everything. So, yeah, Jalen Carter's another one. How do you afford all of this if you're going to bring in Maxx Crosby? The deal sounds great to me. The bad part is how you work this out. Do you sign Maxx Crosby and with a bunch of void years and all that?
Yeah, I think you just backload, right? I mean, I think that's what you do. You move on from some offensive veterans over the next couple of years. I think AJ would, as much as I'd love to keep Brown in this scenario, he'd probably have to go just to free up all that cash you're going to need to backload these contracts. So, yeah, it's tough. It's a really tricky situation, but the Eagles, they're willing to front the bill in these kind of scenarios a lot. But, you got to spread it out. I think that's the biggest part.
There's a piece on NFL.com that's about A.J. Brown and the 5 possible destinations where he could go if he goes by this guy, Matt Okada. I've never heard of him, but he proposes that the Raiders are one of these teams, and the deal would be A.J. Brown going to the Raiders along with the first-round pick for the Eagles, and in coming back is Maxx Crosby and a third-round pick.
Ooh. Yeah. AJ and a 1? Don't like
AJ
that.
And a 1. Yeah, I don't like that either. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing
that. Bad idea. I don't like that idea. It sounds more affordable.
I like Barnwell's idea better than that.
Yeah, I like that where just Jeffrey Lurie forks over all the money in the world. And Howie's like, I'll just figure it out. It's like a deck of cards being thrown on the ground. I'll just figure it out somehow. We'll make this organized.
He's going to have to sell another 10% of the team to pay for all this.
On the chat, how about Jeremy Van Sciver says, how about you just trade AJ for Max straight up?
That's how you make money.
Who says no?
I do. I say no.
I mean, probably say no.
I mean, I do. The Raiders say no. Yeah. All right,
I don't know, though. I think maybe both sides would be in on this. Like, for the Raiders, you get a true alpha number 1 for your first overall quarterback.
Oh,
you don't,
man.
Maybe they are willing to do it. I don't know.
You want to put that thought in Mendoza's head? Like, hey, by the way, overthrow this guy one time. Look somebody else.
If you throw to Brock Bowers a single time, or if Ashton Genty, God forbid, has a career year, you're going to have hell to pay.
Ashton Genty, that was a horrible draft pick.
Terrible.
What are you taking him there for? I don't want to get sidetracked, but
that's what we do.
Another bad team's going to do it this year, Harry.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to take Jeremiah
Love. You're right. Yeah,
they're going to win 5 games, and they're just going to be wasting his touches. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't think we're not going to talk about hockey in the last minute just because Jason's not here. I'll bring it up. Don't
52nd minute. We got 3 minutes to go before our Flyers.
52nd minute.
Every show.
Oh, man. Oh, we have a good time with this program. We have a good time. All right, let's jump into that draft a little bit more. I know we touched on it last week. I want to get into it more, especially when it comes to how it could reflect on the Eagles, not just with A.J. Brown, but also just needs in the draft. We'll talk about that. And I will give you more on why I would say no to Crosby, A.J. Brown straight up. We'll get to that after.
And I got one too. Somebody has an interesting idea for the Eagles' first round pick.
Okay.
And this is a real doozy.
Okay. All right. Well, just quick blink. And I promise you, back in 3 seconds. And we're back. What do you got, Harry?
Well, this is also off of NFL.com, and let me give credit where credit's due. Rhett Lewis, who I've been reading him for quite a few years. He's pretty reputable, but he's got a mock draft, and everybody's got mock drafts, and they keep having to do versions more.
Everybody's got a podcast, and everybody's got a mock draft.
Right. 2.0. I do not have a mock draft though, but I got several.
We got to get a
podcasts.
Harry mock draft before day one.
I drink drafts. I don't.
Maybe that'll
mock
be a
drafts.
segment for one of the squads.
And not mocktails for those.
Oh yes. Back in January, I was drinking a lot of mocktails. But with the Eagles pick at 23, he has the Eagles taking a quarterback.
It's ridiculous.
Ty Simpson from Alabama, who I don't even think he's a first-round pick.
In any other year, that's a second to third round level player.
Yes.
If the Eagles did this, wow. I mean,
can you imagine this?
I
Louie?
thought I was shocked when they drafted Hurts in 2020. This would blow my mind. I mean, if you thought people were furious back then for that.
Okay.
I want video of wherever Jalen Hurts is when that news comes out.
It would just be that meme of when he was at Media Day. He looks up at the TV and saw everybody picking the Chiefs, and he's like, all right, I'm out. Manager.
All right, here's my question. Are people more upset about Jalen Hurts, or are they more upset about what it means for Tanner McKee? For all the McKee disciples out there.
Is there still McKee disciples? I feel like probably, yeah.
Yeah,
they won't.
I think there's some.
They won't go away.
Yeah.
I think Tanner McKee's a better player than Ty Simpson.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
I'm
not
not a Ty Simpson guy. I don't get it. Look, if the Eagles, this is just not the year. That's the thing. A lot of people lately, because of this Hurts stuff, has been talking about, could the Eagles draft a quarterback this year? And in theory, maybe, like they did it in 2020. Would I be totally shocked? Never again with Howie Roseman. But there isn't that guy in this class. This is one of the weakest, thinnest quarterback classes in the last 5 to 10 years. That doesn't mean a couple guys might not pan out, but on paper right now, nobody's able to name that guy they would take instead, because there isn't that guy. Like Ty Simpson is not that player. And after that, like, name me the third quarterback. It might be somebody actually from the hat I'm wearing, North Dakota State, like Cole Payton. That guy's not a second or third round player, and it's a thin class. Maybe they'll do it in 2027, but this is not the year for that.
Yeah, I don't see Howie Roseman, even with quarterback factory still being out there, taking a flyer on a guy that I'm sure he definitely knows is not really a first-round pick value.
Yeah.
I should have put on my shirt. I have a quarterback factory shirt with the Cheesecake
do?
Factory text on it. I should have. Worn
that's
this
a great
segment.
shirt.
Yeah.
That sounds like a clutch shirt. I like that. I like that a lot.
Where'd you buy that?
Some fan website. I don't know. It was back in 2020 when Hurts got drafted, and he said that phrase.
That's a good shirt.
They infiltrated your Instagram ads.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just bought a dugout espresso T-shirt because I'm an idiot.
Yep.
That's why.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that falls.
Okay.
into this.
I don't know. They just know how to get me, man. They know how to target me.
Yeah.
All right. Let me answer this. Just as far as Maxx Crosby, I have more confidence in taking a defensive player and Vic Fangio, even in 1 year, turning him into something worth bragging about, than I do in taking a wide receiver and plugging them into this offense that we all hope works. I got more confidence in being able to have a better return on a defensive addition as opposed to an offensive addition. That's why I wouldn't trade A.J. Brown for Maxx Crosby.
Is any part of this nervousness about Howie Roseman not being able to draft receivers? Because, I mean, Jalen Rager, J.J. Arcega-White, he drafted Devontae Smith, but I wonder if that's a part of it too. Is like, do we trust that he can hit this again?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That might be that. You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. This had nothing to do with it, I swear. Maybe in my subconscious, I don't know. But it literally just came up in my algorithm again of Mike Zimmer laughing at the Eagles passing on Justin Jefferson and taking Jalen Rager. So that's definitely maybe in the another regions of my brain. But no, it more so just has to do with the uncertainty of the offense, and I'd rather go into it with a known quantity rather than we don't know what we have and we don't know what this guy's going to do.
All right, here's one. As far as he wants to keep AJ at all costs, let me run this by you because this might tempt you. Also in this piece, the Chargers would trade Quentin Johnson to the Eagles and their first-round pick, which is number 22. The Eagles would send AJ and a fourth-round pick in next year's draft to the Chargers. So that means you'd have 2 first-round picks and Quentin Johnson.
I don't hate that one.
That I'm doing.
Oh,
Yeah, that one I like.
Now
Yeah.
that I'm doing. I would pull the trigger
All right.
on that.
We found
deal.
your limit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I mean, I told you before, even, especially in the last couple of weeks, well, pretty much everything prior to the draft and prior to June 1st. Like, if you're Howie Roseman, and I was trying to put myself in his mind for a second, it's like, well, I'm sorry, I don't have to do anything. Why are you even talking about it? So to get somebody's attention, do you if you want something that normally costs $5, do you put $5 on the table, or do you put a 20 down there? Like, hey, I really want this. Let's talk.
Right.
Nobody was doing that. And it was right on Howie to do it because he didn't have to do a damn thing.
Exactly.
So, but if you're telling me right now you're getting a first, you're getting Johnson, you're giving up a fourth in next year's draft and AJ, and I get 2 first-round picks this year. When it, again, going back to the idea that the cap, unfortunately, yes, does matter.
Yeah.
You get to reset the clock on 2 rookies.
Right.
Yeah.
And think of the flexibility that would give Howie with 2 first-rounders and 2 third-rounders as far as to maneuver around the board. Like, you could get pretty high up in the first round if you.
And with Johnston, you still get he's on the final year of his rookie deal, but he was a first-round pick, so there is the 5th-year option that's available. So you could still have him for 2 more years on pretty cost-controlled money. Had 8 touchdowns in back-to-back years, over 700 yards in both seasons. Like, he's only 23 years old. I don't hate that. Yeah.
Is he from TCU?
Yeah, he was the first-round pick out of TCU.
He might have been the best wide receiver in the NFL from TCU because Rager and
it's a low bar,
Yeah, the guy that Washington drafted a few years ago, high up in the draft, was a bust.
Can't even think of the name, but I know who you're
he's out of the league now. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm blanking, but no, I'll do that deal, Harry.
All right.
You found my Achilles heel.
Beautiful.
I might even throw in Cooper to Gene just to get rid of him.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Just come on now.
What's going on? Why are we trading
crazy
Cooper?
talk?
I just wanted your head to explode on me. By the way, Jalen Hurts, he sucks too. That guy. Come on. Get him out of here.
Why?
Anyway.
Yeah. Why is Diana Rossini banging Vrabel? She should be banging Cooper DeJean.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean. He's putting, from what the internet tells me, he's got a list where he's going through it.
Yeah. Well,
And
wasn't
I
he
don't
with
think
that Bella twin? Are they still an item?
That might have been pub. They might have, been friendly with one another.
Right.
With some benefits involved. But
he's a young kid from Iowa. You know how much he probably loved the WWE growing up? That's
you're right.
probably a dream for him.
Yeah, you're right.
It was the Cowboys cheerleader too, I believe. They were seen together.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to believe on the internet. I don't know what to believe anymore on the internet. The picture of him with her, and there you go. There was one more thing on that. Oh, it is one more thing, and it's not hockey. The Diana Rossini thing. Her husband, in one of the videos that resurfaced from her a couple of years ago, saying she married an average person, like married an average-looking guy. So apparently, this guy is. I'll just say it's a fast food chain. He's an exec with the fast food chain. Okay. There was a picture that surfaced that she put out there saying, see, oh, no, he's not average. Like when she was trying to play damage control. This is well before anything came out with her and Vrabel. And she's like, oh, look, see, he's not that. He's a good looking guy, blah, blah. In the picture, it's him and her, and he's wearing an Eagles quarter zip.
Yeah, he's a
an Eagles
fan.
fan.
He's an Eagles fan.
He is an Eagle. It is confirmed.
Yes, that is
Okay.
confirmed.
Oh, she did another interview. I think it was on Lebitard that said she gets annoyed when his mood is dictated by if the Eagles win or not. And she was kind of bashing the Eagles a little bit. That resurfaced. There's been a lot of videos that have resurfaced.
Yeah.
Well, she could be out to get the Eagles.
Big Dom is going back into the archives and pulling all these out.
Yeah. Yeah, the
I
husband.
just really want to believe that the Eagles are actually the Sopranos, and they're behind all of this. All the Italians on the team, Nick Sirianni, maybe Patullo was helping us out before he got canned.
That's why he's here, Sirianni. He's the mob boss.
This is why you give Big Dom all that money he makes.
Yeah. If I had a wartime consigliere, I wouldn't be in this mess. Anyway, all right, that's enough. So Flyers play the Red Wings tonight.
Yeah,
they're looking to do better, even better than they're now, which is in the playoffs. But put more space between them and the Detroit Red Wings. I think Sergei Fedorov is going to be playing out of his mind tonight. Anyway,
Steve Eisenman as well. Yeah.
Oh, is that who's out there? Okay.
Well, we need the Buffalo Sabres to beat the Blue Jackets tonight.
I'll be at the game tonight.
That's a huge one for the Flyers.
Help out the Phillies.
Yeah. There you go. Could
Phillies
be a good
Flyers.
night for Porter Martone and the boys down at
Now,
the barn.
if there is a hat trick tonight in Buffalo, which hat are you throwing onto the ice, Louie?
That's a great question.
Because you got a lot of hats.
I got a lot of hats. Maybe I'll throw the North Dakota State hat over for all of my Carson Wentz haters out there. Maybe I'll chuck it over the boards.
Has there ever been a hat that they were using the snow shovels collecting, being like, nah, and just throw it back into the crowd?
Probably.
Right. Wait, what seats do you get? Do you go in a media credential or you have seats?
No, I'm sitting dead center ice, actually.
Oh, wow.
Today. Got some good ones.
Nice.
Today, so. The brother works for the
Very
Sabres radio network, so I got.
That's
gotta
right.
hook up.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
The Odd.
There you go.
That's right.
They still
Back
call
in
it
the day,
Odd?
the Odd. No,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's a different arena now.
Oh, okay. The Odd.
Fair
Love
enough.
That was a barn.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, we got our
man right
Flyers
there.
talk, man. I'm proud of us.
Yeah,
Let's go. We got
that's
some
it.
hockey talking.
Jason, we got you covered, buddy.
We
Don't
got
you
you.
worry. We're just going to send him the clip of the end of the show.
Yeah.
Louie DiBiase's got you covered daily for your Locked On Eagles content on Locked On Eagles YouTube channel right here. Like and subscribe. Harry Mays and I will be back with Jason Martinez and Louie next week, Tuesday, Thursday, breaking it all down even more. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Back with you guys next week. See you guys then. Bye.